Introduction. In nature, we come across rocky mountains, hills, icy glaciers, and sandy beaches, which all are solids. Rivers, lakes, seas, and oceans, which are all liquids. The atmosphere is made up of gases. However, solids are more common than liquids or gases. In the periodic table, there are 11 gaseous elements, few are liquids, and rest of the elements are solids. Hence, it is very important to learn about the structures and properties of solids. The properties of solids mainly depend on the nature of the constituent particles and the binding force acting between these constituent particles. The most important characteristic property of gases and liquid is fluidity. It means that gases and liquids have the ability to flow and are called fluids, whereas solids do not possess fluidity, instead they possess rigidity. Now the question is, why do liquids and gases possess fluidity whereas solids possess rigidity? The reason for fluidity of liquids and gases is due to the movement of constituent particles. In gaseous state and liquid state, the constituent particles are free to move about, whereas in solids, the constituent particles have fixed positions and can only oscillate about their mean positions, and hence they possess definite shapes and volumes, which is nothing but rigidity. Matter. We always classify the matter into three categories, such as solids, liquids, and gases. But whether a substance will exist as a solid, or a liquid, or a gas, that depends on the net effect of two main opposing factors. They are interparticle attractive forces and thermal energy. Now let us look into interparticle attractive forces. Interparticle attractive forces are the forces that always tend to keep the constituent particles such as atoms, ions, and molecules closer to each other. Now let us understand what is thermal energy. Thermal energy is the energy possessed by the constituent particles due to temperature. This thermal energy makes the constituent particle move freely, and it is directly proportional to temperature. Due to this, as temperature increases, thermal energy also increases, and hence the movement of constituent particle also increases. If interparticle attractive forces are very weak and thermal effects are predominant, then the substances will be in gaseous state. If interparticle attractive forces are slightly more than the effects of thermal energy, then the substances will exist as liquid. At low temperature, the thermal energy is low and intermolecular forces are so strong that the particles come closer, cling to one another, and hence they occupy fixed positions. At this state, the particles are unable to move from their fixed positions but can only oscillate about their mean positions. The substance here will be in the solid state. Classification of solids. Now, if you look at diamond and glass, we can see that both are solids. But if you look at them at microscopic level, we can see that there is a difference in arrangement of constituent particles. In diamond, the particles are arranged in an orderly fashion, whereas in glass, they are completely disorganized. Based on the order of arrangement of constituent particles, the solids are mainly classified into two types: crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Let us discuss about crystalline solid. In a crystalline solid, the constituent particles such as atoms or ions or molecules are regularly arranged in a definite pattern for a long range. Here, the arrangement is so regular that by just knowing the arrangement at any one site, we can very well predict the arrangement of other sites. In other words, there's a regular pattern of arrangement of particles which repeats itself periodically over the entire crystal. The examples of crystalline solids are sodium chloride, diamond, solid iodine, gold, quartz, etc. Now let us discuss about amorphous solids. The arrangement of particles in amorphous solids is not in an orderly fashion. Sometimes in amorphous solids, we can find few tiny orderly arranged portions in between non-orderly structures. Since they are very small in number, they cannot influence the overall structure. Due to this, the overall arrangement of the particles in the amorphous solids is distorted. The examples for amorphous solids are glass, rubber, and plastics, etc. Now, if we notice carefully the glass windows of very old historical buildings, we will observe that these glass panes are thicker at the bottom as compared to the top of the window. This is because as the time progressed, some of the molecules on the top of the glass flowed down due to gravity and accumulated in the bottom, making it thicker. Please note that this process is very slow and takes hundreds of years. Due to this ability of amorphous solids to flow like liquids, amorphous solids are also called as supercooled liquids or pseudo-solids. Let's differentiate between crystalline and amorphous solids. The first difference is melting point. In crystalline solid, the arrangement of particles in every portion is same. Due to this, every portion of particles in every portion is same. Due to this, every portion of crystalline solid melt at same temperature. Therefore, crystalline solids have a sharp melting point. Whereas in amorphous solid, every portion of amorphous solid is different from its neighbor. Due to this, every portion will melt at different temperature. Therefore, amorphous solids melt over a wide range of temperature. The second difference is anisotropy and isotropy. Crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. It means that physical properties are not same in all direction. If we consider this particular direction, the particles are all blue. If we consider this direction, we have alternate arrangement of red and blue. Now, if we consider this direction, the arrangement is again alternate, but the distance between them is more. Due to the difference in arrangement of particles in different directions, physical properties such as electrical resistance, refractive index, thermal expansion, etc. have different values when we measure in different directions. Whereas amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. It means that various physical properties are same in all the directions. If we consider any direction, the arrangement is completely irregular. Due to this, the physical properties like electrical resistance, refractive index, thermal expansion have negligible variation in different direction. Cleavage with a knife. When we cut crystalline solid with a sharp knife, we get a clean cleavage and smooth new surfaces. Whereas when we cut an amorphous solid with a knife, we get irregular surfaces. Now let us classify crystalline solids. Crystalline solids can be classified into four different categories depending upon the type of constituent particles and the nature of attractive forces operating between them. They are: first one, molecular solids; second one, ionic solids; third one, covalent or network solids; and the last one, metallic solids. Firstly, let us take up molecular solids. In molecular solids, the constituent particles are molecules. Depending upon the nature of molecules, these solids are further classified into three types: non-polar molecular solids, polar molecular solids, and hydrogen bonded molecular solids. What are non-polar molecular solids? In non-polar molecular solids, the constituent particles are either atoms like noble gases such as helium, neon, argon, etc., or non-polar molecules like H2, Cl2, I2, CH4, etc. Generally, they are liquids or gases at room temperature and they exist as solids at supercooled temperature. In these solids, the electron cloud is symmetrically distributed and the molecules does not have any polarity. Sometimes these atoms and non-polar molecules lose their symmetry in electron cloud distribution for a shorter time and produce instantaneous dipole. These dipoles distort the electron cloud of the neighboring atom or nonpolar molecule, including dipole moment in them. Now, electrostatic force of attraction between these instantaneous dipoles are called as dispersion forces or London forces. Due to the presence of weak forces, these solids have low melting point and boiling point. Let us study about polar molecular solids. In polar molecular solids, the constituent particles are polar molecules like HCl, SO2, etc. The molecules of these solids are held together by dipole-dipole forces of attraction. Due to the presence of dipole-dipole interactions, these solids are soft and their melting and boiling points are comparatively higher than those of nonpolar solids. But still, as these solids do not have very high melting and boiling points, they exist as gases or liquids at room temperature under ordinary pressure. Now, let us study about hydrogen bonded molecular solids. In hydrogen bonded molecular solids, the constituent particles are molecules which contain hydrogen atom linked to highly electronegative atom such as fluorine, oxygen, or nitrogen of neighboring molecule. This link between hydrogen atom and highly electronegative atom of its neighboring molecule is known as hydrogen bond, and the hydrogen bond is represented as dotted lines. Due to the presence of strong hydrogen bonds, these solids have higher boiling and melting point when compared to non-polar and polar solids. These solids are poor conductor of electricity and they exist as volatile liquids or soft solids at room temperature and pressure. Let us consider metallic solids. In metallic solids, the constituent particles are metal ions and free electrons. Metals have a tendency to lose electrons and become positively charged ions. These group of positively charged metal ions are called as kernels, and the electrons can easily flow throughout the metal crystal like water in the sea. These mobile electrons are attracted by the positively charged ions and holds these ions together. The attractive force that holds the kernels and the mobile electrons in the metallic solid is called as metallic bond. Due to the presence of strong metallic bonds, the metallic solids have high melting points and boiling points. The free electrons in these solids are responsible for high electrical and thermal conductivities of metals. In fact, the color of certain metals are also due to the presence of these free electrons. Some of the examples of metallic solids are copper, iron, aluminium, silver, etc. Let us discuss about ionic solids. In ionic solids, ions are the constituent particles. In these solids, there is a three-dimensional arrangement of cations and anions that are held together by strong electrostatic force of attraction. As a result, these ions are not free to move and are closely packed, and hence these are hard and brittle solids. Ionic solids possess high melting and boiling points. Being ionic in nature, these solids are soluble in polar solvents like water, but insoluble in non-polar solvents like ether. Ionic solids act as insulators in solid state, but in aqueous solutions or in molten state, they act as a very good conductor of electricity. Here, the question is, why are ionic solids very good conductors in the molten state and not in the solid state? In ionic solids, the electrical conductivity is due to the movement of the ions. However, in the solid state, the ions are in fixed positions and they are not free to move. However, in molten state or aqueous solutions, the individual ions are free to move. And when potential difference is applied, these ions act as a charge carriers and become good conductors of electricity. Some of the examples of ionic solids are sodium chloride, zinc sulfide, magnesium oxide, cesium chloride, etc. Now, let us discuss about covalent solids. These are crystalline solids in which the constituent particles are non-metal atoms linked to adjacent atoms by covalent bonds throughout the crystal structure. As a result, network of covalent bonds are formed. Due to large network of covalent bonds, these solids are also known as network solids. These solids are very hard and brittle and have extremely high melting and boiling points. These covalent solids, due to the absence of free ions, act as bad conductor of electricity. One of the most common examples of covalent or network solid is diamond, where each carbon atoms are linked together by 4 covalent bonds to give a three-dimensional structure. However, there is one exception whose properties are quite different from the other covalent solids. Let us study about that exception. And the exception is graphite. Though it is a covalent solid, unlike other covalent solids, it is soft and good conductor of electricity. This exceptional behavior of graphite is due to its typical layer structure. In graphite, carbon atoms are arranged in different layers. We know that carbon is tetravalent in nature and has 4 valence electrons. In each layer, one carbon atom is bonded to 3 other neighboring atoms within the same layer. The unbounded fourth valence electron of each carbon atom remains unbounded and is present between the layers. This fourth valence electron is free to move within the structure. When potential difference is applied, these free electrons act as a charge carriers and makes graphite a good conductor of electricity. The force of attraction between each layer of graphite is very weak. Due to this, different layers can easily slide over the one another. This makes graphite soft and good solid lubricant. Best examples of covalent solids are diamond, silicon carbide, silica, etc.